Boy, time flies when you're having fun. Is it time for it already? It is. Welcome back to our nightly newsletter. My name is Joseph James. It is Tuesday evening here, the 11th of February, 2014. Welcome back. Thanks for joining me here this evening. We've got sloppy, sleepy, slippery, sloppy markets this morning. We've got Janet Yellen in her first speech as chairperson, and Thomas Edison. Welcome to tonight's newsletter. We're going to talk about what happened today. We'll prep for what's happening tomorrow. We'll give you guys some nice little tidbits of information about today. And then I'm going to roll up my sleeve. If I had sleeves, I would roll up those sleeves, and we're going to take a look at the charts and what those charts are telling us for Wacky Wednesday, right? Wednesday morning, tomorrow's trading session. So, first of all, what happened today? Well, let's take a first glance here at last night's newsletter. Did you watch last night's newsletter? You didn't? Make sure you keep up with me every day. Last night, we gave you guys some great opportunities to buy on gold, crude, and Russell, right? Now, we talked about how last night, my exact words were, these narrow ranges we saw on Monday were probably going to give us some big moves today on Tuesday, and we did not disappoint. As I'm reviewing last night's newsletter, I see here that gold. Now, gold, we gave you guys a few targets to the upside last night. In my notes here this evening, I see two targets hit, 1285 and 1291.4. So we talked about this last night. Gold pushing higher. Gave you guys two targets there. Two targets hit. Good trades there this morning on gold. On the mini Russell, we hit all three profit targets on the Russell. 18.4, 22.1, and 26.9. So mini Russell also pushing higher. Gave you guys some easy targets to reach there. And then we can't forget about crude. Crude oil pulled back right into that buy zone that I gave you guys about 24 hours ahead of time. So you can't tell me you weren't ready for that. And it ended up at 141, 100.41. So gold hits both targets. Russell hits three targets, and crude hits that first target at 141. Are you excited? Are you excited? Been a good week here so far. Little bit sleepy though today. We only had Janet Yellen. That was all we had to work with today. We didn't have any major news this morning, so that told us first thing this morning to be careful, to be patient. We also knew that gold and other currencies, right, the dollar of course, would be affected by Janet Yellen getting on the microphone this morning. The speech though by Janet Yellen, I should say the testimony this morning was, how do I describe it? Uneventful, unremarkable. It was expected. It was typical. It was dovish. Basically, like I said last night, we didn't expect anything new out of Janet Yellen's mouth. She is just like Ben Bernanke, and basically today she confirmed that she was going to. I believe the exact word she used was continuity, right? As if she's going to continue now what Ben Bernanke had kind of started. And I think she's smart, right? She'd be foolish to go in and try to shake things up. So as much as I disagree or agree with the economic policy here in the U.S., I'll leave my opinions to myself. But Janet Yellen came in and pretty much said, yep, we're going to continue tapering at the previous pace of $10 billion per month. We're going to continue with the 6.5%, 6.5% unemployment rate threshold. And what happens is once this unemployment rate ticks below 6.5%, now they're going to start looking at whether or not more tapering should be there and whether we should be raising interest rates. But one of the things that she repeated many times, if you read through the testimony, she's very dovish. Remember, if she was a hawk, we expect higher rates. She's going to keep these rates nice and low, at least into 2015, we can assume at this point. So most analysts agree with this, and we saw today the reaction from the markets, pretty much all bullish. Again, still amazing how we're seeing crude and gold going higher. It doesn't happen very often, but again, we've learned at this stage, right, in our trading careers, we've learned after seeing the debacle of 2008 and 2009, we've learned not to say the word never. But it very rarely do we see both gold and crude going up at the same time. So very interesting. Something big is coming, as I said yesterday. Some different news tonight here. As I'm recording this evening, we just got word the U.S. House of Representatives passed a clean debt ceiling bill. Clean basically meaning there are nothing pending, nothing else needed. This thing's going to go through and get a stamp of approval here. And that will extend our debt ceiling here in the U.S. until March 2015. All right, so set your clock. We've got about a year here until it's time to turn off those television sets, or at least mute them. Don't have to worry about hearing these politicians squawk back and forth about the debt ceiling. Today, what happened at the end of the day today? Crude ended up higher, 0.40, 40 basis points, almost 0.5% on crude, just above that 100 number. Remember last night we talked about crude finished right at 100. Today we finished the day here at about $100.41. Gold goes higher today. Big mover on gold, up $1.25, right? So up 1.25% today, up to 1290.6. Do you smell that? What was that? I smell 1300. It's coming right around the corner. And in a moment, I'm going to be showing you some charts. And I've got some projections up there at 1300 for tomorrow. So be aware, all you gold traders out there. Mini Russell went higher this morning, ended just shy of 1% up, 1125. Again, relatively sloppy, a little bit of a sleepy start, as we usually get when a day without any news. We had to get through Janet Yellen at 8:30 and 10 o'clock, but boy, after 11:30 today, things started really heating up again, almost a carbon copy of what happened on Monday. Now, fortunately, this is the end of the road here for no major news. We get a lot of news now coming out. This week, remember, if you're brand new to this, right, remember what happened. Last Friday was non-farm payrolls. Monday was a Monday without any news, and after that report came out, we were expecting a dead day on Monday. Got a pretty good day out of it, but it was obviously slow. Tuesday, another day without any news, but more importantly today, all eyes were on the old Fed chairperson, Janet Yellen. So everyone was kind of walking on eggshells this morning, waiting to see, is Yellen going to talk about tapering? Is she going to mention interest rates? And she did, and she pretty much confirmed exactly what we thought she was going to say, which is basically as if Bernanke was standing there talking himself. So now those days are over. Now, I'm excited for some major news. Tonight, be aware, we got Chinese trade balance. We've got Eurozone industrial production. Now, I'm here in the U.S. I'll be catching some Z's. I'll be resting my bones this evening. But if you're in Europe, if you're in Asia, or you're in London, you better be aware we get some big major news coming out here in the overnight session. Tomorrow, crude oil inventories. Let's get ready for tomorrow. Tomorrow's Wednesday. Wednesdays are always big for crude traders because we have inventories on Wednesday morning at 10:30. Now, Tuesday evening, as in right now, Tuesday evening, we hear from the American Petroleum Institute. The API number came out tonight, like it does every Tuesday night. It's used as a big clue ahead of tomorrow's inventory report. Tonight, we hear the fourth straight week from the API number showing a build in inventories. Now, a build means we've got more inventories. Usually, let's say, for example, a shoe store, if you had more inventory, what's usually happening? Either people aren't buying enough shoes or you've got too much supply coming from the manufacturer. So right now, we are either consuming less crude oil, the demand is lower, or we've got too much supply. We're going to find out what the EIA number tomorrow morning at 10:30, what that comes out as. Tomorrow, though, be careful on crude before 10:30. Remember, we get a very specific job on Wednesday mornings. Okay? Wednesday morning, every Wednesday, crude inventories, unless, of course, Monday's a holiday. All right? This week, though, tomorrow is our inventory day. I'm going to sit on hands 15 minutes before the news tomorrow. So as of 10:15 tomorrow morning, whether it takes duct tape, chicken wire, right, bungee cords, I don't care what it takes, guys, sitting on hands 15 minutes ahead of that news. And then also remember, leading up to that news tomorrow, don't be surprised if it's a little bit shaky, a little bit sloppy tomorrow. So we always trade cautiously on a Wednesday morning before 10:30 on crude oil, all right? Only crude is being affected by inventories. If you remember last week, I asked you, what was the only other news event that only affects one market? What was it? Natural gas inventories. That's the only other that's the only other news event we get that has that much impact on one specific market. Tomorrow we get crude. Wait 15 minutes before and then 15 minutes after. All right? Do not be one of those poor souls that get caught trying to jump into that news right at 10:30. I don't care. I don't care if they call you directly from the pit and say everyone's buying. You got to be careful. That initial reaction at 10:30 oftentimes is the opposite, right, of where it's going to go long term. So we're going to be patient before the news, patient after the news, And again, don't say I didn't warn you. Tomorrow should be pretty slippery on crude, especially if we end up around that big round number of 100 even ahead of that news. So I'll be looking for tomorrow after 10:30 to get active on trading crude. Tomorrow, let's see here, Treasury budget at 2 o'clock Eastern time. Always going to be a big important news event. Tomorrow at 2 o'clock, we'll hear from the Treasury and, of course, what their balance sheet looks like right now. And, of course, I couldn't forget this day in history. My good friend Thomas Alva Edison. This day, February 11th, 1847. I can't even comprehend how long ago 1847 was. Well, this is his birthday today. Happy birthday to you, Mr. Edison. This guy was an inventor, right? Now, we know him mostly for inventing the light bulb, but he also invented our dear old ticker tape, right? The ticker tape, right? The printed out receipt of all the orders and all the prices, the stock prices. So Mr. Thomas Edison, 1847, invented the ticker tape, the phonograph, the light bulb, the motion picture, right? Think of all of the incredible assets he gave, how many great things he gave to our society. What a great man. And of course, happy birthday to the Korean Stock Exchange this day in 1956. Not as far ago as 1847, but 1956, yeah, that's a pretty long time ago too. The Korean Stock Exchange was born, right? Very, very interesting to see futures and stock exchanges grow around the world in emerging markets. All right, guys? So that takes care of today. Janet Yellen, another day without any major news. But guys, I keep telling you this. I'm seeing ranges here. We got something big coming. Something big's coming. Are you with me? Well, don't take my word for it. Let me prove it to you. Let's roll those sleeves up. Let's grab these charts. Because tomorrow we got some major news. And we got big moves I'm expecting as we go into the week. Don't leave me now, guys. We're just getting started. Let's rock and roll. All right, guys and gals, welcome back here. Welcome back. Thanks for sticking around with me. Congratulations on taking the first step here to be ready for tomorrow's price action. Tuesday evening, don't forget, tomorrow's Wednesday, which means we have inventories on our radar. Let's start first here with crude oil, the black gold. So tomorrow morning, I'm going to be very careful tomorrow. If I come in and I see this, if I see more of what we saw today, range bound, be careful. Tomorrow's inventory day. We typically see some pretty nasty price action before that inventory number comes out tomorrow at 10:30 a.m. Now, looking at today's VIP chart, looking at it, you wouldn't think there was a single opportunity today on crude. And there weren't that many, right? There weren't that many, but we did end up going higher today, right? In the aftermarket after 2:30. I'll show you guys that in just a couple seconds. So late in the day today, we ended up making the move. But intraday, though, as you can see, two-day relationship is sideways. We get a very narrow range right now, and we close right in the middle. So when I look at this, I see I've got a volume profile right now. This volume profile literally is flat as a board. By the time we finished up today at 2:30 p.m., now remember, crude will trade 24 hours a day electronically. We're talking about the VIP chart here right now, which is the open and close times. So the only time this chart's going to show you is the open at 9 a.m. to the close at 2:30 p.m., and of course, all times are Eastern time. So this isn't going to show you more than anything after 2:30, right? So after about 3 o'clock, I think it was, we got that big break up on crude and we were able to grab some profit on it on the way higher. And we made it all the way up there to that top of that range before now it's pulling back. Bottom line is, this VIP chart, this range-bound market, very narrow range, and the fact that we've sat here for 2 straight sessions just tells me something big is coming. Something big is coming. Now, can I tell you when? No, but I'm going to be ready for it, and so should you. Tomorrow morning, if we open up above 1055, 155, we're bullish. Opening below tomorrow, below 99.54, we're bearish. You know me, I'm not going to try to predict. I would think we're going to go higher based on the anchor chart, which we'll take a look at in a moment, but I can't tell you based on this. All I know is tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. Eastern time, I'm coming in, going to grab a look at my charts. Above 155, I'm buying. Below 99.54, I am selling. If we end up inside of this range, we really got to be careful tomorrow morning because we got that inventory number at 10:30. So if we open up inside this range, above 99.54, below 155, Got to be careful tomorrow morning, guys. All right, buy those lows. Really, the only way to trade it tomorrow is going to be to buy the lows, sell the highs, buy the lows, sell the highs, and that's what we'll be doing tomorrow if we open up inside today's range ahead of 10:30 inventories. Looking at the anchor chart right now, the anchor chart is going to give you quite a bit of information here. You'll notice we got this big, long bullish channel here. And so this bullish channel, now of course we tagged that 140 target we talked about earlier on the newsletter. But what I want you guys to see here though is we got this bullish channel. With this bull channel now, I've identified two buy locations. Okay, 110 and 99.81. So these are two locations here that I'm looking for a buy. I've got a green cloud. I've got a higher high. I have a higher low. Now notice, oops, sorry about that, wrong button. It's a Tuesday. Now notice we are just above that prior week high. That continues to be our Achilles heel right now. Between the prior week high at 124 and the big round number of 100, we got to get away from this area to get the best price action. All right, because clearly this 100 number is really getting stuck in the mud here right now. So what I'm looking for is tonight, I'm looking for price to pull back, give me a buying opportunity now, and I'm going to be buying all the way up my levels overhead, 165, 190, and 101.06. Now, I'm going to be bullish until we get below 99.60. If we get below 99.60, we should be able to get down to 99.11 relatively quickly. And then from there, right, it's anybody's guess from there. We got a lot of room here to tumble. Okay, my next guess would probably be somewhere around the 98.59, right? That's about 3 weeks ago, the high there. So that would be my next guess there, about 98.59. So again, I'm going to be buying here as we go lower. I'm buying as we go lower, but at the same time, if we end up getting below 99.60, you guessed it, selling short here. I've got targets below me here, 99.11 and 98.59. All right. Now tomorrow morning, what will happen is I'll be in the trade room with our students, and if this gets below 99.60, I will begin to give guidance from there. All right. So if you need updated information, that's why I run my trade room. So come in and join me in the trade room tomorrow morning if you want updated guidance if it does get below 99.60. All righty. But right now, I'm looking bullish. I love the fact that we're pulling back right now. I never want to buy at the highs. I want to buy in a pullback. I want to buy at a discount. So I'm looking good here around this 110 to 99.98 area, right, for a buy going into tomorrow. All right, looking good. Be careful tomorrow regarding inventories. Don't forget, don't say I didn't warn you if tomorrow's pretty sloppy ahead of 10:30, and then we'll be definitely watching closely to see what happens tomorrow after 10:30 on crude because we should be getting the big move in the morning then. Moving forward here from the black gold to the gold. Now, gold has officially now made it and stayed above its prior week high. If you recall, yesterday was like watching paint dry, just watching this price on gold slop around, and then finally this morning, very interesting. Do you recall what we said last night on the newsletter? An opening bell above the high, we'd be bullish. An opening bell below the low, we'd be bearish. Where did we open? We opened well above the high. And do you recall what I always say? Remember, just because we open above the high doesn't mean we're guaranteed just to buy right there. I still have to wait for a buying trigger. Now, what I do is I read the opening bell analysis. And again, this is the perk of being in my trade room tomorrow morning. Tomorrow at 8:20 a.m. when gold opens up, the first thing we do is we analyze the first 15 minutes. In this case, we saw a dramatic sell-off right in the first 15 minutes. You can see it's referenced by this big, full-bodied bearish candle. This is a 30-minute candle, but you can read between the lines. So we had a quick sell-off, and this is very typical. We gap up, we pull back, we test the volume area from yesterday, and then we go higher. That is just so typical of pretty much every market. Guys, if you have a gap up, expect a pullback most of the time before it goes higher. A gap down, the exact opposite, right? It'll retrace higher before going lower. So we got pretty much exactly what you would expect to see on a gap up day. Opening bell, we didn't get a chance to buy it right away. In fact, I sold this gold this morning in the trade room, made some money on the short, knowing that we had this previous range, right, going to be the target for us. And then sure enough, bounces off the previous high of day and then just bam, goes right back up. And some easy trading opportunities there if you were following along. Now, really important here, take a look at what you're seeing on this chart. First of all, 2-day relationship, very, very much higher. Second thing here, the range is very wide. Now remember, 24 hours ago, I was looking at a very narrow range. And this very narrow range, what did I say last night? Expect a big, wide range to follow. And what happened today? Absolutely, a nice, big, wide range. Now, when we have a wide range, usually that results back in a narrow range, or at least a narrower range. So this very wide range today, with lots of trading opportunities, tells us to be ready for tomorrow to possibly be a little bit sleepy, sideways, and range bound. Okay, don't say I didn't warn you. Now, we closed pretty much near the high. This really shouldn't be the middle. I would say probably the upper 2/3. And at first, this looks very bullish at the close. But I'm going to back off that. I don't think it's that bullish because when you look at the volume here, now you'll notice I've highlighted here 2 key locations. Now, see how we have kind of a volume spike right there and right here? Okay? Well, basically, the most amount of volume on gold today traded up near the highs. We also got a good deal amount of volume down near the lows. Well, here's what's likely to happen tomorrow. Assuming we open up inside of today's range, we're likely to move up and down inside the range between these 2 volume spikes. Okay, so this is where the most amount of volume was traded, up around 89.5 and down around 79 even. Now, the exact locations are not important, but again, because we have this wide range today, do not be surprised if tomorrow we open up and we stay between these 2 areas until something can shake this thing out. So if we open up inside the range today, okay, tomorrow morning, if we open up inside today's range, we know to expect the range to be strongest between 89.5 and 79 even. Now, let's get ready for tomorrow. If we open up above 94.4, we're bullish. Does anybody remember that? 1300? I've been talking about 1300 for a month now, telling you guys to be ready for it, and here we are. We're a hop, skip, and a jump away from 1300, that big round number, big psychological level. So if we open above 1294.4, you can almost close your eyes, hit the buy button, and you're getting hit at 1300. It's going to happen. Then we have the open below. If we open below 75.9, then we know we're bearish, and we're likely here to collapse back down into this huge range down below. Look what we have waiting for us here. Get below 75.9. We should go immediately to 72 even, take some profit off there, but if we slip and fall, we can really tumble here quickly all the way down to this 1250 area where we had quite a few levels late last week. So big, wide open space. I could easily see this price going either direction tomorrow, but if I had to guess right now, I would say tomorrow is going to be an inside range day. It's going to be a sloppy day because of this big, big range today. We'll have to wait and see, obviously, right? We'll always have to wait and see. I'm not going to predict. That's the beauty of being a trader. I don't need to know everything. Tomorrow I'm going to come in at 8:20 when the market opens up. I'm going to make an educated decision based on what we see at that time. And remember, come out and see me tomorrow morning in the trade room, and I'll make sure to walk you through my analysis. That way you're ready for anything tomorrow. Now, gold gave us some easy profit targets today. If you remember, we had some great targets up top here that we got filled here today that was called last night. This newsletter, guys, I'm not wasting your time. These are valuable pieces of information that professional traders will be using to make profit. Now, what do you see here on gold? I see a very strong bullish trend. This bullish trend tells me to buy. But you know me, I'm not going to buy a brand new car after it's been doubled in price. I want to buy a brand new car after it's at a discounted price. I don't want to buy it at a premium price. I want to buy it at a discounted price. So where are we right now? Well, we're above those highs, so we are at a premium price, right? We're at a premium. I'm looking for price to come back here, get me into a long somewhere around this 85.2, or I'll even go as far as buying the 79.9. But once I get below 78 even, that's when the party ends for the buyers, and now I'm looking to get selling here as we go lower. A nice easy target here to the downside for the sellers would be 74.5, right? What is that? That's the prior week's high. So if we get below 78, you better believe it, we're going to 74.5. It's almost a guarantee. We got a bullish channel. We've got everything above the moving averages. We got a green cloud. Again, I'm looking for a pullback here before we go higher. But if for some reason the Chinese trade balance news, if for some reason the Eurozone, Eurozone industrial production, if the news overnight tonight, if it gets gold going, give me a new higher high, give me a pullback, and I'll look to buy it then too. So we got lots of opportunities here overhead. I've got targets for you now. 95.4, 97.4, 99.8, and again, there it is, that big round number at 1,300, that big psychological level. So bullish on gold, but again, knowing that big range on the VIP chart, don't be surprised if we settle into a little bit of slop and chop here. But we get some big news here happening overnight in China and Europe, so that could really get gold moving here. So be ready for anything on gold. Now, we go from the commodities over to the E-minis. Here's my mini Russell, my favorite of the E-minis. I'll trade Russell, I'll trade Dow, I'll trade NASDAQ, and of course we can't forget about the S&P. So I don't care which E-mini I trade, but definitely my favorite is the Russell because it has big moves, much bigger than the S&P will. Now, taking a look at this chart here, we've got a higher two-day relationship, a very typical trading range, and we close the session right up around those prior week highs. Very big clues here. First of all, the higher day reminds us that we are bullish. The typical range does not really give me any clues. Again, if the range was really wide or really narrow, if it was uncharacteristically wide or if it was uncharacteristically narrow, right, that is when I would start to get some clues out of that. But this is a pretty typical range, not that big of a deal. What I like about this, though, is that the buyers were able to hold on to this all the way up to the end of the day today. And it really was the end of the day because it started off pretty slow like everything else today, and then eventually it took off to the upside. What we can see here now is that previous week high. Remember, this is exactly what crude oil and gold were dealing with yesterday and early part this morning. So if we get stuck in the mud here around this previous week high, that's going to be a big problem for us tomorrow. So be on the lookout for 27.7. If we see this keep trying to go higher, but it fails, tries to go lower, fails, goes nope, right? If it keeps on sitting on top of this 27.7, you know exactly why. It's that prior week high. Tomorrow morning, opening print above 28.9. I am looking for buys. Opening print below 13.8. I'm looking for sells. And as you can see here, we got quite a few options below me here. I've got 04.7. I've got 1100, big round number down here. That's going to be a big, big magnet for you. So get me below 13.8, and I'm shooting for that big round number at 1100. To the upside here, as you can see, that right there, what is that, 1144 or so? That is the prior week high from 2 weeks ago. Okay, so right now we get the prior week high right here at 27.7. Well, you know where we're going next, right? If we get above that, look out for 44. So give me an opening print tomorrow above 28.9, and I'm buying all the way up. 44 even, going to be my target on the way up there, guys, if we can break above 28.9. Looking good here. Moving over to our last chart of the day here together. Here's our mini Russell. Is this the same chart as crude as gold? It does. It looks so similar, doesn't it? You can see we have a big bullish channel. This big bullish channel tells us that we're bullish, obviously. That's no shock there, JJ. Don't need to be a rocket scientist to do that. And, of course, we can see here we got higher highs. I've got higher lows. I've got a nice slope to the moving average cloud. As you can see here, green cloud above the moving averages. Guys, we are ready to go higher here on this E-mini. I told you guys we're going right back to those all-time highs again. This is only a small pit stop. The smart traders out there were buying as much inventory as they could possibly get their paws on because you know it's going higher here now. My goal, as I said earlier, is to buy at a discount. I'm looking to buy the 1121.4. I'm looking to buy the 1117. I've got targets now overhead. So as you can see here, oh, and one more thing here. If we happen to get below this 1115, get me below the 1115, right? If we don't get this to work out, if it ends up going lower, look out below. 1104.7, going to be an easy level for you. As we go lower here, I've got the prior week open, right, just below 1100. I've got a previous week low at 1089. All right, so now we have the levels marked up below us. So get me below the 1115.5, and then I'm selling off here down to 1104.7, down to 1100. Possibly all the way down to 1089.9. And what I'll do is I'll keep trying to look for opportunities to get back in. So I'll sell it short down to 4.7. I'll take my money and run. Then we keep going. You better believe it. I'll jump in again using that support as resistance and take my next target. I'll take my target at 1100. I'm not going to worry about 99.2. I will definitely go to 1100. And then once again, we get below that, and you know what I'm going to do next. Again, I'll use that same support level there as resistance now to get short below that 1099.2. Moving to the upside, though, because that's what we're thinking is going to happen tomorrow. Again, I'm not trying to predict here, but that's what it looks like. I want to buy at a discount. So I'm going to buy this 21.4. I'm going to buy this 17 even. And my targets are going to be 31.3, which, by the way, 31.7 is also the prior week high. Okay, big clue there. I got 31.3, I got 36 even, and I got 42.1. So don't say I didn't warn you here for tomorrow. If we go higher, we know exactly what our targets are for tomorrow. And, of course, if you follow along my newsletter, last night's newsletter, we hit all three of those targets today. So as you can see, this is important information to be ready for tomorrow. Alrighty? Before I let you guys go, I want to thank you so much for your time today. Before I let you go, though, don't forget, if you haven't registered for that newsletter yet, if you're watching this on a page outside of our blog right now, what are you waiting for? Register for the newsletter. All I need is your name and your email address. I promise you it'll be worth every second of time you invest in that. You're going to love this newsletter delivered to your email box every night. Also, don't forget, too, would you like to come trade with me tomorrow? Yeah, even as a guest. How about I invite you tomorrow, without even being a member, to come join me in my trade room? That's part of our free trial. So join the free trial. I get a special invitation for you to come out and join me tomorrow in our live trade room at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. Be there. Be there. You can also go to schooloftrade.com and get more information about all of our 3 course materials, our beginners, intermediates, and our advanced memberships. All of them are lifetime memberships, guys. We are very, very unique in the industry, and I hope you guys can see that. Thank you so much, guys and gals, for tuning in tonight. Don't forget, like I said, we got important news tomorrow at 10:30. Heck, we have important news tonight starting here just after midnight. So keep an eye on the time. Be ready for some big ranges here coming out the rest of this week. Are you ready for it? I know I'm excited. Thanks so much for being here today. We'll see you guys tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. Eastern Time in our live trade room. Remember to learn it so you can earn it. Adios, amigos. Bye-bye for now.